And now a little story from the apple seed.
Once upon a time, there was a tall, handsome man, nothing like me. And he met this beautiful, elegant, gorgeous-looking woman. Again, nothing like me. And they got married and they had a baby child, again, nothing like me. And they raised this young child in this wonderful little cottage, a little picket fence, and they had a garden filled with beautiful flowers, but they also had a vegetable garden. And the vegetable garden had all different kinds of lettuces, tomatoes, herbs and spices, courgettes, or as you call them, zucchini, right? There was aubergine, which you call eggplant, and all that kind of stuff. And one day, the mother, she's making supper, and she starts cutting things up, and she asks her daughter to go down into the vegetable garden and go and get some chives and some garlic and some tomatoes. And off she goes. And there, in the middle of the herbs and the spices, was this huge goat. And it was chomping on those herbs and spices and vegetables. And the little girl went up to her and said, "Shoo!" And the goat looked up at her and said, "Hey, what are you doing, huh?" She said, "Well, you're eating our herbs and vegetables. You got to go. You got to shoo, shoo, shoo." No. Do you not know who I am?" No, I don't. "I am the goat from the hills and the mountains. And when I finished eating the herbs and the spices, I shall eat you, too." Well, when the girl heard this, she screamed and ran back to her house. Mommy, there's a great big goat out there. He's got these big old horns and little beady eyes. He's eating our herbs and vegetables. This is going to eat me next. What, she said? "This is a great big goat out there, and he's eating herbs and vegetables. He's got these big little eyes and big long horns, and this is going to eat me after he's eaten the herbs and the vegetables." "You're talking too quickly. Tell me what you're saying." "Slowly. There's a goat out there, and it's eating our herbs and vegetables. It said it's going to eat me next." "I'll sort it out," she said. And she grabbed a broom and she made her way down into the garden and she saw the goat there and she raised the broom as if to strike the goat. And the goat looked at her and said, "Hey, what are you doing, huh? So I'm shooing you. You're threatening to eat my daughter and the herbs and vegetables. Go on, shoo." No. "Do you not know who I am?" "No." "I am the goat from the hills and the mountains. And when I finished eating the vegetables, I'm going to eat your little daughter. And when I finished eating her, I shall eat you, too." And the goat lowered its horns and looked at her, and she gave such a startled cry, she ran back to the house and went up to her husband. Husband, there's a great big goat out there. It's got these beady eyes and these big long horns, and a terrible little tail, and it's eating herbs, vegetables. It's threatening to eat my daughter, and it's threatening to eat me too." "I beg your pardon, my dear. But there's a goat out there. It's got these big little eyes, these big long horns, and it's eating herbs and vegetables. It's going to eat our daughter, and it's going to eat me afterwards." You're talking too quickly, dear. What is it you're trying to say?" "There's a goat out there, and it's eating our herbs and vegetables. It's going to eat our daughter, then it's going to eat me next." "Don't worry, darling. I'll sort it out." And so he picked up the largest piece of wood that he could find in the wood pile, and he made his way down to the garden, and he walked up to the goat and raised the stick up as if to strike the goat, and the goat's like, "Hey, what are you doing, huh?" "Well, I'm shooing you. You're threatening to eat my daughter and my wife and you're eating herbs and vegetables." No. Do you not know who I am?" "No, I can't say I've had the pleasure of your acquaintance yet, no." "I am the goat from the hills and the mountains. And when I finish eating the herbs and vegetables, I shall eat your daughter. And when I finish eating her, I shall eat your wife. And when I finish eating her, I shall eat you too." And the goat lowered its horns and made towards the father. And the father looked at those horns and saw how sharp they were and took off back to the house. "I can't seem to do anything about this goat. It's a terrible goat. It's a horrible goat. There's big horns and there's little yellow eyes of it." And just then, a gentleman was stopped who was walking by. He said, "Excuse me, it looks like you're having a bit of bother with that goat." "Yes, actually, we are. It's eating herbs and vegetables, threatening to eat us." "Well, I'm a soldier, was a soldier. I fought many battles, and I wonder if you want me to have a go." "Well, that'd be absolutely marvellous, thank you." And so the soldier made his way down. And the same thing happened to him. He went to draw his sword, but as an ex-soldier, he didn't have one anymore. And when the goat lowered its horns, the soldier took off back to the house. "I can't do anything. I'm sorry. I can't do anything about this goat. It's a terrible goat. There's little eyes, there's big long horns." And then they heard this tiny little voice that said, "I can help." And they looked around and they heard the voice, "I'm down here in the roses." And they looked, and sure enough, in the rose bushes right next to them, there was this teeny tiny little ant. "I can get rid of the goat for you." And the soldier looked at the goat and said, "You're just a puny little ant. I could pick you up and pop you if I wanted to." "That's not very nice. I'm offering to help these people and you're going to pop me?" And the mother, she said, it's all right. Do you really think that you can help get rid of the goat? I'm pretty sure I can. And so they smiled and said, yes, we'll give you anything that you want if you can get rid of this goat. And so the ant climbed down the flowers, made its way across the lawn, and it went all the way over to the goat. It climbed up the back leg of the goat and bit it incredibly hard on its haunches. Whoa, what's going on back there? And it got bitten again. Ow, what's happening back there? And it tried to spike it with its horns. It leapt around and leapt and bounced until it jumped over the hills and over the mountains. The little ant, it left the goat to run off, and it made its way back across the lawn up onto the rose bush and said, I got rid of the goat for you. That's incredible. Let me get you a couple of sacks of grain. Oh, no, I don't need 2 sacks of grain. That's too much. I'm just a little ant. Or what about 1 sack of grain? That's still too much. What about half a sack of grain? That would still squish me. Well, what would you like then? 2 grains, please. 1 for me and 1 for my grandma. And so they got 2 grains, and they gave the ant 1 of the grains, and then the little girl carried the other grain back to the ant's house. I don't know if they ever made bread from that grain, but what I do know is that never again were they bothered by the goat from the hills and the mountains.
Thanks for joining us for a little story from the Appleseed.